What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Twigger and I have Alex beside me. We are here with Week 3, Day number 2 of the Toronto eSports League of Legends tournament, getting into the first game here, Earth Brotherhood versus SN eSports. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't already, definitely be sure to follow Toronto eSports on their Twitch page so you guys know when we go live with every game, and also follow them on their Facebook page and Twitter so you guys get the updates that you guys need. Alex, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Not too bad, actually.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to... We have some pretty close games today from what I've seen with the schedule.
Yeah, not a big skill disparity this week, so should have some entertaining ones.
Especially this one. Seems to be very, very close between the two teams, and both of them ready on time, so that's already a good sign for today.
Yeah, no traffic issues today.
Yeah,
no
no
started
traffic.
here, Poppy and Shyvana getting banned out. Shyvana is an interesting one. I believe she actually just got nerfed.
She did.
Yeah, so... kind of weird to see that one coming out, and the Master
Master
Yi, so
ban.
really not favoring the Devourer junglers.
No. I normally just think that right now the Devourer jungler is not...
They also nerfed the Devourer Rift Herald pickup.
Yeah.
You now only get 2 stacks instead of 5 from that one, so... Just overall, Devourer junglers not too strong, so pretty. Maybe they know that
it might be very well targeted
ban
bans
if they know they have a strong Devourer jungler player.
And so it looks like they might just be targeting their jungler here.
Yeah, Udyr can go either way with Devourer or Runic Echoes, but right now we usually see him taking Runic Echoes, but he's banned out.
There's the Gragas and the
Instantly.
Alistar pickup, so some very, very powerful picks, and also with the Darius up in the top lane, we've got some pretty strong picks at the beginning here.
Yeah, so they really wanted to focus that jungle pick there. They banned out 3 of the junglers that they thought were strong and instantly grabbed that Gragas. Nidalee's still available, and they are hovering the Amumu as a counter. But that's already a pretty strong front line for SN here with Alistar and Gragas. Both are going to get pretty tanky in the late game and be able to disengage with both the explosive cask and the headbutt.
So I can definitely say, though, just because they did lock in the Vi, though they have a very strong front line with the Alistar and the Gragas, I can't think of a better jungler than Vi to get to that squishy backline, using that Assault and Battery to just push right through everybody, make sure that you can knock out that squishy AD or AP carry, but also
Same
locking
with
in the LeBlanc. Same sort of
Same
idea.
kind of thing. Excels at going past the front line, dealing your damage to the back line onto one of the squishier targets, and then LeBlanc has the option of getting back out with her distortion as well.
Absolutely. So it looks like they're hovering over the Mundo, which is definitely one of those fairly strong picks. Got a lot of regeneration, but definitely 2 pretty beefy but also damage-dealing members of the top lane right now. Mundo versus the Darius. If they do happen to lock this one in, it looks like they're kind of debating what ADC to pick up here, but Lucian definitely being a strong pick, and it looks like it might very well be the Nautilus rather than the Mundo. Both of them very strong tanky picks. They are really looking to have that really strong tanky front line that they just can't get through, and it's going to be the Mundo pickup.
Yeah, so with that Mundo and the Alistar also being picked in here, we're going to look to see if LeBlanc is going to build that Morello Nomicon, because the healing reduction is going to be very valuable this game. So she should probably get that one. They do have the option of the AD carry getting that Grievous Wounds item. I don't recall the name of it. Yeah, both going to be very useful for reducing that healing of the Alistar, who might take Windspeaker's Blessing, and then the Mundo as well, going to have that regeneration.
Yeah, probably will be seeing that Windspeaker's Blessing. Alistar just seems to do so well with it, making that heal so much more valuable. The Ezreal locked in for the blue side here. Very strong pick with that blue Ezreal build. But the issue that I'm seeing here is that they don't have a lot of great tank killers.
Vi is a good tank killer late game because she has that W percentage health passive on the 3 hits. So if they do get to the late game, Vi is pretty strong at taking down the tanks. But yeah, the AD carry in Ezreal and LeBlanc not going to be able to do a lot against the beefy tanks that they have on the front line.
So I think that Earth Brotherhood right now is going to have to look for a pretty strong mid-game. If they can win the early game, get LeBlanc and Ezreal snowballing, they might be able to push a big enough advantage that these tanks won't be that big of an issue. But just I know from experience that Ezreal is not very good at taking down those beefy tanks, and you have some of the beefiest ones here. The Mundo, the Alistar, especially when he pops his ultimate. It's going to be very tough for this team to kind of crack through, but you've even got, so we were kind of discussing previously that the Vi can jump in and get one of the squishy targets, but both of the squishy targets have great forms of escape. The dash coming out of the Lucian and also the Valkyrie coming out of the Corki.
And just so much disengage as well with the explosive cask and the headbutt, as we mentioned. Going to be hard for them to, reach that back line, but we did talk about the Vi and the LeBlanc. It's going to probably be up to them, and they should try and get the LeBlanc and the Darius ahead and wait for that Ezreal to scale up with that tier build. He's likely going to go and wait for the Iceborne Gauntlet as well.
Well, if you can't go around the tank line, you gotta go through them. So that's exactly what the blue team's gonna have to try to do on this one. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We're just getting into game number 1 of week 3, day number 2, Earth Brotherhood versus SN Esports. We're gonna jump into a quick 3-minute break as we get the delay in the game started on this one. We'll be back in just a couple minutes to talk about the keystone masteries of each player, so definitely stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to week 3, day number 2. We currently have the first game, Earth Brotherhood versus SN Esports. Going through the keystone matches here a little bit, nothing too surprising it seems. Grasp of the Undying in the top laner, Strength of the Ages in the junglers. It looks like we have Thunderlord's Decree on both of the mid laners, Bond of Stone for the supports, and of course, Fervor for both the ADCs. One thing that I do find interesting though, Ezreal and Lucian being two of the best ADCs to run Thunderlord's Decree, but looks like they're both going for the Fervor rather than the Thunderlords.
Yeah, Thunderlords provides a bit more poke in lane, But Fervor is going to be better for the late game where they can stack it up and get those high damage Fervor stacks onto the enemy champs.
I always love seeing the Keystone Masters like this because it just makes it very easy, right? The top lane's the top lane, the jungler's the jungler, mid lane's the mid lane.
Yeah.
Nothing to really
it's
go
good when
off
they
of.
organize themselves like that properly in the champ select as well. Very helpful.
So now, do we think, so we're already seeing a couple pings coming down from SN Esports, just kind of looking towards their blue side jungle. Not entirely sure if this is going to mean that they want to invade or not, or maybe they're just kind of
I think with their
themselves.
team, they want to group up with that Alistar and actually kind of hope for catching someone else on the other team. And they probably will take some steps forward here, and they're going to have to burn a flash with the Alistar because he can't get that headbutt pulverized combo off level 1, so
It would be pretty overpowered if you could.
yeah, that would be... Yeah, got to burn the flash for that one, but you can usually pick up a kill if you're fast enough and you have another CC you can chain with it.
And burning a flash or a flash, never really that bad of a trade, but Alistar, of course, when he hits level 2, especially with the Lucian, the headbutt pulverized combo with the ignite that he's running, I'm expecting to see some pretty early aggression coming out of this bot lane just because of that ignite pickup.
We do see Gragas moving over to the top side, which will give Alistar that potential for the early level 2. We'll see if they share the experience on the Gromp or give it over just to the Alistar. He can pick level 2 up right from that if he... actually, nope, I am wrong because the new changes, he doesn't have a jungle item, so he won't get full XP. But he'll get 1 minion away, so we'll see. It's a pretty important thing for the early game, who gets that experience.
Yeah, and it looks like we standard kind of double jungle for the Mundo and also the Gragas, trying to get as much experience as possible. Mundo going to help out with this one, but wonder if he's just kind of giving the leash. I thought that they were doing a little bit of a double jungle there, but looks like he's just going to go up to the top lane to meet the Darius face to face in the top lane. The two tanky bruisers.
Can we see that Gromp?
So it looks like the Gromp has been taken down. So they shared the experience. It looks like they're just going to go to lane, try to get that early level 2, and possibly use that Ignite. So
yeah,
excited to see some aggression.
Bit late to lane, so they won't be able to get the push on, but they should still hit level 2 first. They just have to be careful not to take too much damage before they get it, and there it is. So they'll be able to zone off, especially because they pushed that wave out early. That was actually a bit of a mistake there, and it's going to cost them because they should be able to freeze the UBH guys away from the experience there.
Yeah, a little bit of an error just on the blue side, but really not that big of a deal. They are going to be able to just get back in there once they hit level 2, but we are seeing the Alistar just going straight aggressive into this lane. It actually is turning out to be a much bigger mistake than I initially thought. Just looks like they're going to have to wait for these minions to catch back up, but we already have 11-5 in favor of the Lucian in terms of CS, but large minion wave for the Ezreal coming in, a little bit of aggression coming out of the SN Esports bot lane, but nothing that they won't be able to handle in the next few minutes here. Headbutt Polarized coming down onto the Ezreal. Looks like the hook also missing. Ezreal taking a huge chunk of damage from that Lucian, but very nicely played, but not able to pick up a kill quite yet.
Yeah, that's one of those situations where the Thunderlords would have been nice to have. You got those 3 stacks off and would have been a nice Thunderlords proc, but still a lot of damage on that Ezreal. They're probably going to look to do that as much as they can, get a nice initiation from that Headbutt Pulverize, and we saw dodging the Thresh Hook there was also crucial. If he hits that Thresh Hook, then the Lucian might be caught out for some return damage, but was able to dodge out. Nice.
So it looks like the Corki able to steal the Scuttle Crab. That always feels good in the early portion of the game because it's a fairly significant amount of gold that the Vi now missed out on just because of that nice little roam from the Corki, knowing that one was coming.
That's about 100 gold swing, just that one little action there, because it's 70 gold if you pick it up as the jungler and 30 gold going towards the Corki, so net difference of 100. Pretty significant pickup for just that nice little steal there.
It's kind of one of those things that it's just, in the early game, those small things matter. That happens in the late game, not that big of a deal, but the early start to the Corki, getting him snowballing a little bit, definitely a good thing to see. It's fairly even in terms of the farm in most lanes right now, a little bit of an advantage in the bot lane and up in the top lane, but all in all, nothing big happening, but it looks like we do have the top laners kind of bullying each other out, trying to make something happen, but Mundo getting a little bit more of the raw end of that deal. Actually surprising to see that he went for the Dorn Shield rather than the fairly standard Corruptor's Pot. But looks like we have Gragas coming down here in the bot lane with no vision from the Earth Brotherhood side. Is going to be able to get in here. The hook missing as well. Looks like the Gragas Body Slam is going to miss as well. That would have been almost a guaranteed kill onto the Thresh, but just barely missing that body slam, and then Thresh just being able to flash away means a clean getaway for that Thresh and the Ezreal, and a little bit of wasted time for the Gragas.
Yeah, perfect timing on the flash there from the Thresh. If it was a bit earlier, we do see the Mundo burning the teleport, so Darius is going to have that, and he was able to push the wave to the tower.
So, Mundo going for that Ruby Crystal, I would not be surprised to see that turn into something like a Sunfire Cape fairly early, but Darius, of course, is going to have that early trade advantage just because he has that extra damage coming from the Corrupting Potion when he is chugging it. I rarely see Doran Shield purchased anymore for any top lane bruiser champions, but
it's pretty good
Mundo
against
can make
the
it work.
AD. He gets that armor bonus. But yeah, I usually do go for that Corrupting Potion. And it helps because... oh, never mind. I don't know. I'm not going to finish that one. I don't know what I was saying there.
It helps because I don't know why it helps.
Well, we already know that it gives the damage, and stacks refresh, so it provides a lot of sustain.
Absolutely. So, looks like once again, the Mundo is actually having a pretty good time here stopping the Darius from coming in here. I think Darius is just a little bit worried about his minions being so far forward and the potential gank from a Gragas.
Yeah, and the pink ward we can see in the tri-bush there, keeping him a little scared as well.
Yep.
Not that he has a ward anywhere in the river.
So Darius just put a ward up in his river brush. That's going to provide him a little bit more knowledge, but definitely missing out on some CS and a lot of experience from that one. So we already have the level 6 Mundo, and it looks like the level 5 Darius, but great idea to go for the Rift Herald because it's going to do a lot of damage to a level 5 and a level 6, but Mundo also has his ultimate available, so they're going to take a lot of damage. Mundo should be able to heal through this, but they give this Rift Herald buff over to the Mundo. Darius is going to have a pretty bad time.
Yeah, I think they're actually going to give it to the Gragas. It's pretty nice to give it to your jungler because in addition to the bonus, I believe it gives movement speed. But if he does get a gank off, it means that he can immediately just push the lane with that Rift Herald bonus.
Yeah.
And he's more likely to be able to get in a position where it's going to be useful because he's roaming around the map more. So we do see that a lot, giving it over to the jungler unless a laner can take advantage of it right in that moment.
And it also helps just in general that if you're going to have a gank and there's minions currently in that lane, the extra buff on the minions definitely helps towards the damage that you're going to be producing on the enemy team. It's the small things that sometimes make all the difference in the ganking world.
Definitely is going to be a bonus. So we have a bit of a gold lead here for SN, about 1,000 gold, mostly coming in the mid lane, about 10 CS up. Actually, sorry. And the AD carry, 20 CS. So we saw from that level 1 Gromp take, they were able to zone them off, and that's only been continuing. So Ezreal going to try and stack up that tier, but it's going to be a while before he gets online with that build because he's so far behind.
So one of the things about the current blue Ezreal build is that it is incredibly strong in kind of the mid to late game once you have your standard items complete. But Mundo getting a first gank on here with the vibe. But look at the damage coming out of these Mundo cleavers. He's just not even really that afraid. Just gonna chunk these guys down with cleavers. Pop his ultimate. Seems to be getting out of this one okay, but...
And right away, Gragas we see going on the opposite side, and he's going to be able to pick up a red buff. They are pinging this furiously, so they have vision or have some idea that this is going down.
And it looks like the Ezreal and the Thresh are going to come down here. The LeBlanc hasn't really responded to this one yet, so Gragas is probably going to... He does get the red buff. He does in fact get it, but LeBlanc is now here. The ultimate coming out of the Gragas is going to have to flash the ethereal chains, but... Some smart play coming from the Gragas, having to burn a flash, but, you know, getting that red buff and taking a little bit of time out of the bot lane and also the mid lane, I would say fairly worth it on that one.
Yeah, actually, I'm impressed by how Ezreal was able to pick up, how many of those minions he was able to pick up at the turret there. He was about 30 behind, and now he's just 10 or 15, so able to close that gap a little bit, but still just trying to charge that tier, and the BF sword was picked up on the Lucian, so huge, actually, AD difference between those champs, and Ezreal is going to have to be very careful not to get caught out by the Alistar and the Lucian.
And Alex, I'm noticing as well, both junglers have currently decided to go for that Poacher's Knife instead of something like the Chilling Smite or the Skirmisher's Blade.
There's an engage on bot.
Yep, looks like there is. The flash coming out of the Alistar and the headbutt, bringing the Thresh back. The Ignite going down on him as well. A great hook onto the Lucian to stop the damage coming through, but the exhaust also going on the Lucian. He's going to flash and try to get the first blood. There we go. First blood picked up by the Lucian. The culling now coming out. It looks like the Arcane Barrage missing on the Ezreal, but he is going to be able to clean up the kill onto the Lucian, dodging a lot of that culling. The ultimate coming out from the Alistar. He's not going to take much damage damage, but it looks like the Vi using her Assault and Battery, not even going to be the one to pick up that Ezreal. It's going to be the Alistar picking up that kill. Corki now coming down, not even having a teleport, just getting here with his package, trying to land the last ultimate, but not going to get it. It looks like the last auto attack is going to be enough to pick that one up. Greg is being a little bit salty on that one, not being able to get an assist on that, but definitely some good plays coming out of SN.
Yeah, good moves there. Nice roam from the Corki, as you said. But overall, just a bit of a mistake there, I think, to try and engage. Whoa, big fight.
We got a lot of stuff. Oh, would you look at that? So
just outnumbered 3-1, and Azer trying to make a play on that LeBlanc, but gets caught out by the Alistar with the nice roam after he backed from that last fight.
So it looks like, just looking at summoner spells here, the Mundo had 5 stacks of the Darius Bleed on him. What I'm thinking happened here, because the Darius ultimate is still available, it looks like Darius flashed at the Mundo to try to get that ultimate off, but the Mundo immediately flashed afterwards, so got away from that one. Because if Darius had got his ultimate off, that would have been a kill up in the top lane. But some very nice aggression coming out of the top laners, but even more aggression coming out of that bot lane. Currently sitting at a 4-1 advantage for SN eSports. 16.5k to 13.7k at just 10.5 minutes into the game. Definitely looking like a good thing.
Yeah, that last fight, I was talking about it there, the Ezreal and Thresh tried to initiate, but we just finished talking about how the AD difference between those two champs is quite significant, so I'm going to be in UBH's best interest to just kind of hold out, try and farm up a few more items on that Ezreal before they get into another fight, or wait until they have jungle backup.
Yeah, it looks like the Ezreal does have those 2 fairly key early items, the Tear of the Goddess and also that Sheen. But it looks like the Mundo going for this Vi, the damage coming down from his cleavers, it's going to be so much, but it looks like now, another cleaver landing. One more would probably be the death of this Vi. It looks like they are going to just place a ward in this tribe to know where the Mundo is. Darius had a pretty good time fighting this Mundo before, but it looks like the Mundo doesn't want to take him on again. But Vi is still currently in the jungle. This is a very risky maneuver to be there with the Mundo at such low HP. But
good moves from the Gragas. Every time he sees that Vi up in the top side, either through a ward or through Mundo.
But here comes the dive. Looks like Ezreal taking a lot of damage. It's just going to get the Q on him, the barrel going off, slowing him down. The teleport coming in from the Darius, going to try to make something happen here against 3 members of the red team. Looks like the hook coming out, but is going to be dodged with the dash.
Going in, but
yeah, Darius feeling very, very aggressive here. Does still have his ultimate available, but going to take a lot of damage. Headbutt pulverized coming out of the Alistar. The shield from the Thresh Lantern is not going to be enough, and it looks like now they're looking for a dive. Gragas still has his ultimate available, so might be able to just take up this turret for long enough, taking just enough turret shots. The Alistar now switching the aggro. Looks like he's going to get out of there with just a little bit of HP, but a great executed turret dive, just a great amount of turret aggro juggling.
Close.
And looks like the Arcane Barrage not going to be close enough to pick off the Alistar or the Gragas, but great job just swapping out that aggro on the 2 tanky members of the red team, just having enough to take down officially 3 members of that team during that fight.
Yeah, good aggro control as you said, and good moves from the Gragas, just nice awareness to see that Vi up in the top side. He cleared out a camp in the bottom side and then immediately made his way to the bot lane for that gank, and even though they were under the tower, just quickly picking up that Ezreal with no arcane shift, and then following up onto the Thresh and the Darius.
Yep, and we're sitting with an over 5,000 gold lead in favor of SN eSports at 13 minutes in the game. That is substantial to come back from.
Yeah, that's pretty tough, especially when you have a lot of these mid-game power spike champs in the Corki and the Lucian. Once they pick up, one item, they both have quite a lead over their lane opponents.
Ooh,
whoa, big damage there, though.
LeBlanc coming through, but showing us that, even though they are a little bit behind, but Gragas coming in for a gank here, does not have his ultimate available. The LeBlanc looking like she might have gone back to that distortion, but is going to get headbutt pulverized by that Alistar. The flash having to come out. The Lantern's going to be there as well, and she's going to get out of that one. But Lucian might want to try to get in this one. Does not have his calling available, so can't really do a lot of damage here. Greg is still waiting on his cooldown for his ultimate, but it looks like the Mundo getting the TP down here. They might just go for another kind of turret dive idea here, but it looks like the Thresh is going to go down to SN's Yen. The Lucian picking up that kill. The Mundo not really doing a whole lot here, just kind of popping the ultimate and kind of running away.
Pick up the dragon
but
after.
They picked up an assist for the Mundo on that one. The flash coming out from the Vi just by the threat of the Alistar walking up to her.
Yeah, that's why in these types of fights, or when you're fighting those minions, you don't want to use your escape spell. Especially she knew that the SN squad was kind of roaming up.
Absolutely.
We see them getting a free dragon here, no contest.
Oh!
Yeah. Worth a try on the Ezreal.
Have we seen the steal during this tournament yet?
No,
no, we haven't. So it's bound to happen eventually, but I would love to see either a dragon steal or a baron steal at some point before this tournament reaches its end.
We saw a huge Baron steal in one of our practices, but
just hasn't translated to the big screen.
Match. Yeah. So getting some good damage down on the tower there because Mundo left the lane, and you said not getting much done.
Whoa, these guys are just abusing it now. So it looks like the Vi is going to be able to come in here, but the Thresh is already down. Vi's now going to be in a bad position here. It looks like the calling coming out not going to be enough to do anything to the Vi. Just going to use her Vault Breaker to get out of that one. And it looks like the red team is now just going to be able to push on this turret. It's a very smart use. You have so much damage coming out of that Lucian, and so much tankiness coming out of the Alistar. The flash going in onto the pulverizing the Vi, and going to just butt her back into the rest of his team. And that's going to just be a free kill onto the Vi, debating whether or not she was going to go to the Krugs. And now they're just looking like they're going to translate that into some mid lane pressure. But
yeah, that tower in the mid lane is pretty low. So gonna just send all 3 members here up on the back.
So already LeBlanc using her distortion, gonna have to use that ultimate mimic, and it looks like Yen is gonna be able to take down that one with a great flash Q coming out of him.
They already got the flash in that previous engage there.
But here goes the Darius, gonna get his ultimate off, but it doesn't look like he had 5 stacks available, so it wasn't the maximum amount of damage. But Mundo now just healing this entire thing up. It's probably gonna turn this around. It looks like Darius doesn't have any mana, so Mundo's just gonna try to regenerate, but does have to use his health for every single spell that he uses. But here it's the Gragas. The Darius doesn't have flash anymore, is gonna get slowed by the Mundo as well. A little bit of healing coming out from the Darius as well, but that is going to be a pickup, the 3rd kill of the game for Gragas. Looks like SN Esports currently sitting at 12-1, and it looks like, oh, but the Ezreal
split.
Oh,
he did get it. Oh my!
Kill onto the Mundo, who is very low HP. It looks like he just didn't have the reaction time to pick that one up.
He saw it going by his teammates too.
That
was so funny. Everyone got out of the way. They're like, "Hey, Mundo, it's coming, man."
Somebody didn't get the memo that was coming through, but. Just one thing to talk about here is that we've hit a pretty major item spike for the Corki. That Trinity Force being finished is a huge deal for Corki's overall damage. So I would be a tad bit worried if I was the LeBlanc right now with a 34 CS lead on the Corki and also having that Trinity Force completed and now having the Rift Herald. That's not going to be a pleasant lane for her.
Kind of interesting that she's going for the double cloth armor there because Corki is mostly magic damage. So that's really only going to protect her from the Lucian and maybe a quarter of that Corki damage. So probably better off going for the Morello Nomicon, which, as we said in Champ Select, you're going to want to pick that up against this team. So that was correct, but then probably better off going Abyssal Scepter.
And then what are we thinking that those 2 cloth armors are going to build into? I'm assuming that one of them is going to be a Zanya's.
No, the Zanya's
yeah,
has
right.
2.
It does take 2 for the Seeker's Arm Guard.
Yeah, recent change. The new build for Seeker's Arm Guard has 2 cloth armors and the 1 Amp Tome.
Had I paid attention to the game, maybe I would know that.
Hey, that's a tough one, man. When you go for 6 months with one way, trying to switch it up in your head.
It is true, trying to switch that thing up.
They switch it all up willy-nilly.
But it looks like we do have the Executioner's Calling currently on the Darius, so he's also looking for that healing reduction onto the Mundo. And it's also onto the Gragas and the Alistar as well. Just nice having that Grievous Wounds to kind of prevent their healing.
Yeah, I didn't even remember that Gragas, but he also gets significant HP regen from his passive.
That passive, and he's going to be spamming out his abilities. But looks like we just kind of have the Mundo pushing down the bot lane. We have a bunch of people up in the top lane. The Corki using his Valkyrie to try to get away from something, it seemed, or he was just trying to get in position to take the Scuttlecrab. But here's the LeBlanc doing a lot of damage, but it's not looking like a lot of damage whatsoever.
Yeah, this is definitely a mistake to just leave this Mundo pushing in the bottom lane, especially when you're going to pick up...
Huge explosive cast coming out of the Gragas, and looks like everybody was just able to clean that one up. And Mundo this entire time has just been pretty much on vacation in the bot lane, taking down that 2nd tier turret. So it's the 3rd turret of the game in favor of SN Esports to the 0 from Earth Brotherhood right now. We're just seeing a pretty dominant performance from SN Esports and the over
tower too,
and also the over 10,000 gold lead, right? The Flame Horizon, as you so delicately put it.
Yeah. More for the CS difference, but 10,000 gold at this point is definitely a large...
It's another Flame Horizon.
Yeah, that's a different... That's the Toronto eSports Horizon.
Toronto eSports Horizon.
It's tough to come back from that deficit.
Absolutely. It's a very difficult thing to come back from a deficit like this, and it looks like, even a Darius, who normally you would never want to turret dive a Darius, but this bot lane is so far ahead that they can absolutely do that. The ultimate comes out of the Alistar. He doesn't take nearly any damage from the Darius or the turret for that matter, and Lucian can just use that Essence Reaver and Static Shift combo to just tear through tanks.
Yeah, they have such a great tower diving combination. So many members can tank the tower for long periods.
And it looks like they're just going to do it again. The Lucian doing so much damage to the LeBlanc, and They're just waiting for this one.
They're just, keep waiting for the next member to show up. And even placing down that pink ward to be able to see LeBlanc through her passive was pretty key there.
Very smart idea. Just showing kind of top-level player, but looks like while all that was going on, the Gragas looks like he did use his explosive cast to get that Ezreal into them, and just the damage coming out of people like the Corki. We're only 19 minutes into this game, almost 20 minutes into this game. It's a very, very early inhibitor. Looks like the Mundo TPing to a minion to keep it alive for longer. Very smart play on that one. Might have looked like a troll play, but definitely wanted to keep that minion alive, tanking the turret so that way they didn't have any worries about taking down this inhibitor. Fact of the matter is, the turrets still do a lot of damage considering we're so early into this game, but looks like once again the threshold just barely off the mark and they're not actually able to turn this into a fight.
Yeah, one note about the teleporting to the minion. It's very useful when you want to continue your push onto a second tower after the first one because say you have a cannon minion and you can keep it alive, keep it full HP. It just keeps it alive for that second tower as well, so just going to enhance your push there.
So looks like they're baiting out for this Baron, and an amazing bait. The damage coming out of these guys. Quick double kill for SN's Yen.
That's gonna
just
be a
baiting
free
that Baron and waiting for them to come in. They took the bait and they just got absolutely shredded in that jungle. And it looks like this is going to be about a 20-minute Baron, but LeBlanc is currently standing here. Might want to try to make something happen, but
yeah, they have no jungler, so
with
it's
the
just
jungler
be
being dead,
LeBlanc, but
here comes LeBlanc not going to be able to do anything.
Steal.
Looks like Alistar tried to get in there to try to headbutt the LeBlanc. The Lucian currently using the culling, doing a lot of damage to the LeBlanc, but the Distortion's just going to be able to come out with the Mimic Distortion. Going to get enough room here, but the Gragas looking like the ultimate coming down with the Runic Echoes proc is going to be enough to pick up that LeBlanc. Very nice little chase there, but that was a Baron, a couple turrets, an inhibitor. Like the swing of this game, 45,000 to 26,000, almost a 20k gold lead.
It just
at 21
accelerated really fast. But we did say that they're going to have those mid-game spikes, and they used them very well. They had the Lucian on 2 items versus Ezreal still on 1 item. Lucian actually on 3 items now, so that's significantly impactful for that AD carry matchup. And the Triforce, as you mentioned, also from the Corki, and he's on the 2-item Infinity Edge Triforce build. So
and it's just one of those issues that you see when you're looking at the blue team. Earth Brotherhood definitely had an early to mid-game team comp there. You needed these guys like LeBlanc and Ezreal to start snowballing, even the Vi, start snowballing with that Warrior Enchantment on her Poacher's Knife, and then you should be able to see a pretty productive mid-game into the late game for that team. But the fact that they lost those early trades in the bot lane and also in the mid lane just ended up getting out of control for this red team. But we do have the dive. A 3-man Pulverize coming out of the All-Star. He's currently tanking the turret with his Unbreakable Will currently up. Looks like the Mundo not really taking any damage at all. He's going to start chasing down this Ezreal. The Corki chasing as well. The Flash having to come out from the Ezreal, but the Cleavers just continue to land. The ultimate coming out from the Gragas to just keep the LeBlanc in, but it looks like Mundo went a little bit too close to the fountain. He's going to be taken down very quickly, but while all this is going on, it looks like the Lucian going to be able to do enough damage to take people down in their turret. They are going to try to dive the Ezreal, not going to have enough though. So it looks like SN being a little bit BM here, trying to pick up some kills, and they might actually not be able to end the game now.
Yeah, they definitely could have ended the game there, but going for the fountain dive instead. As you said, a bit of a BM move, but
bit of a BM move, more like a full-on BM move on that one. They're getting a little bit cockier, but it's one of those things with such a large lead of 20,000 gold, 23-5. It just sometimes gets to your head and you want to make those plays.
Yeah,
but
when you feel so invincible and you haven't died all game, you just carry that invincibility all the way into the fountain, and then you realize
one of those things though, you do that a couple times, you get a couple bad team fights or something like that, and all of a sudden you have another game on your hands. So wouldn't like to see that again, but looks like they are going to go for that second dragon of the game. That's going to give them more turret taking potential, which they don't really need because they really only have, what, one more turret that they have to get through this game?
Yeah, they'll probably go for the other inhibitors, unless they just go right for a fight in the mid lane, which I wouldn't be surprised to see because, as we said, they can just dive that one tower pretty easily.
Yeah, considering that it's only at a quarter HP, they could easily just walk into the base.
Corki could probably one-hit that.
With the Trinity Force proc, definitely could. So yeah, I would not be surprised to see them all just group up in the mid lane, do that one turret shot, take that thing down, and then force a fight from Earth Brotherhood, because right now the red team is just so much stronger, and Corki also has a package. So this is the exact time that you want to have a fight here. You could put the package. You could package right over top of that turret. Exactly, almost create a rumble equalizer, force them to engage you underneath that turret in the the package range. It's so good right now to have that package at this exact moment in the game to pretty much end it.
Not even they can't even offer a fight here, so
nope, they're just gonna go straight back into the turret. The culling coming down, doing a lot of damage to everybody. It looks like they are just now gonna push this turret. Don't know if the Corgi is gonna use this package, but he's probably gonna try to get it. It looks like a great pull though onto the Mundo. Is gonna get taken down again in the turret. It's in the fountain, but looks like this is going to be the end of the game, guys. It was a fantastic game coming out of SN, Supernova eSports. Earth Brotherhood definitely put up a fight, but sadly the comp just didn't pay off against the tanky members of SN. Hopefully you guys did enjoy that game. It was a fairly quick one, but definitely well played by SN eSports. We're going to be back with game number 2, which is Nightmare Abstract versus TLC, which is Terrible Logic, which is a great team name. But we're going to be back in just a few minutes, guys. If you haven't already, definitely follow Toronto eSports on Twitch to know when we go live with these tournament games, and follow them on Twitter and Facebook to get any updates or anything that you need to know about this tournament. We're going to be back in just a few minutes while we get everybody into the lobby. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll be back with Week 3, Day number 2, Game 2 of the Toronto eSports League of Legends Tournament.